Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Reva.
Reva who?
Revolutioning digital lending, one credit union at
Oh
a
my
time.
God.
Hi, Reva. How are you?
I'm good, Aditya. Thank you for having me.
Reva, we're going to start this serious session with a joke. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Reva.
Reva who?
Revolutioning digital lending, one credit union at
Oh
a
my
time.
God.
All right,
We've
there we.
done this joke before. This is the worst.
which is exactly the point. So, okay. Welcome to Bits and Banks, the digital disruptors, the show where we get candid with C-suite on how digital transformation is changing the lives of members and customers, one bold idea at a time. Our mission is to really spotlight real stories behind digital transformation initiatives, the wins, the pivots, and the practical lessons from people who are operating on the front line. I'm happy to have Reva Rao, I call her the credit union whisperer herself, join us today, so thank you. Reva's career is a masterclass in digital lending and member experience, from leading transformation at large credit unions, Golden One, Travis, so on and so forth, as well as her new adventure at Blend, where she's on a mission to transform Blend and offer services to the credit union. We'll have a few insights, a few laughs, and kind of the practical wisdom only frontline senior practitioners can bring to the table by being there, done that, and still pushing the boundaries. Welcome to the show, Reva.
Thank you, Aditya.
Great. Question number one, we're going to jump right into it. If there's one major digital initiative which you've led or you've been deeply involved in your career, which has led to great outcomes, could you explain, could you give an example of that, and also talk about what was an aha moment in that customer win or a member win?
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, I have tons of experience, and we worked with a lot of credit unions as well as partners who I've assisted with. But I was involved in the launch of a credit union's first digital unsecured application, their launch into this kind of significant leap. They had been doing mostly hybrid electronic form collection online, and then everything else was manual, right? So this felt like a significant leap into what they considered a seamless mobile friendly experience. The important insight we got out of it, the launch, as you can imagine, was long, difficult.
Sure.
Everyone involved, hands down, for months and months. And our CIO at that time had said to me, the most boring releases are the most successful ones, right? There's nothing that went wrong. Everything was expected. We caught during UAT, you picked up any of the issues. But what was interesting was the insight we got was how much members valued transparency and real-time updates. One of the things that you often forget is something that you think as what I called the pizza tracker, how quickly a nice to have. It's a feature. You don't think of that as something that's critical or important, but we realized how essential it was. And I'll give you an example. It was a wow moment. We measured these, what we call them wow moments, of significant impact through member updates and member feedback. Was one of the members wrote to us and told us that he did the application during his lunchtime. He had an emergency breakdown and he had to do a credit application. So during lunchtime, he took a break to cover that emergency funds that he needed. And what was amazing for him was he got an instant approval and the funds were transferred to his account before he got home. What that meant was, he got back from work. He and his wife met the HVAC technician in the evening, and their HVAC was replaced. So it was, from the scheduling of setting up the appointment, from the getting the funds that he needed, hot summer months in Sacramento are really, really hot. And so for him to be able to do all of that and get the funds so that replacement could be done that evening meant his family could have the necessary air conditioning that they needed. His family could eat dinner in peace. You don't realize the halo effect of a simple transaction making the impact in people's lives. And I think that's kind of, in my mind, is the true value and importance of that digital transformation has in people's lives.
And imagine the NPS for this person and the halo effect of this person speaking to his or her immediate family, and the family members speaking to other family members. That's so enormous. And to your point, carefully crafting these journeys is so critical in embedded finance, because embedded finance should not just be seen as a technology initiative, right, where you enable somebody to apply, but you almost have to sit down from a business perspective and plan out what could be the scenarios in which this
Okay.
could come in, and when that is, are there breaks in those
That's right.
journeys, right? Because those breaks in the journeys nullify the fantastic effect of embedded finance in itself, right? So kudos on that. Great. Now let's flip it around. Second question is, where you have had challenges or you've had to pivot, and what are some insights you got in an engagement or a project or an initiative that you were driving where it didn't go to plan, and what were some learnings there?
Yeah. I'm a big believer, Aditya, and I think I've said this to you in the past. Feedback is a gift, and you should embrace the positives, the story that I just told you, but the opportunities for improvement. So, we have all of those, and we learn from them. A prior client of ours, in when I was with another fintech, we created a digital business account opening service for a client in Texas, and the expectation was very clear to us. The bank that we were working with at that time wanted to reduce branch visits, and they
Mhm.
wanted to cut the manual steps, improve response times, and make sure that the business account opening could be done digitally. Now, adoption, we started measuring adoption, right? That was one of the critical factors for success, was much lower than expected. And when we tried to dig into it and understand it better, we realized that small business account opening is a lot more complex. It's not like a individual account opening or a joint account opening. Small business has facets, they have members, they have joint account owners that is, in their business partnership that have complex needs. So the key learning was that while our technology should enhance, but it needn't always replace something that is a human touch. And particularly in relationship driven partnerships like small business, credit unions, this is a advantage. So credit unions in particular do this really well. They build generational relationships.
Sure.
I've met people who would say I'm a fourth generation credit union member. So it's important to recognize that while some of the application facets can be done online, that we need to come back and pivot and say, how can we bridge that human touch with the digital enhancement? And so that's what we did. We went back and we created a hybrid model in that particular scenario that integrated the digital application, that they could do that as a first step, and then they could then connect with a human whenever they needed that additional step.
That's great. And I think having obviously leader level sponsorship is given, but also then having the right type of staff at the next level who are actually having the right probes and are watching this carefully, that
Yeah.
they're able to pick up, oh, that's working great, oh, that's kind of working average, oh, that's not working well, is so critical to having introspective people in the second line, so to say, to be able, second line reporting to the EVP, who can actually catch some of these behaviors and then bring them to the table, versus just getting lost in the busyness of just getting a launch done, right? In that sense.
I think you've said that well. It's instead of a vendor being a partner
Yeah, yeah.
of the credit union, helping and making sure that as you're delivering, that every step of the way you're partnering with them and making sure you're adding that value. It's not, done it and leave them just at their services. So
I agree. And I, as a person, when we're working with our clients, that's always kind of how I see myself is, am I enabling higher values for the key KPIs that they've got? And what do I need to do, me being one cog in the wheel, like our solution, our offering? So that mindset is so critical. Yep. Third question and the last question is, we live in a tough macroeconomic environment. We're all aware of that. And member retention and member profitability is very critical. Even more so now, because acquiring new members or customers is harder with the right credit quality, whether that's consumer or small business. So from your perspective, do you have a story to tell around or anecdote to share around how do you drive strong member retention? Have you had a scenario where you've realized it and you've acted and done something about it? That would be something worth sharing with the community here today.
Yeah. I would definitely echo that statement that acquiring new members is costly, difficult, and obviously it takes a very long time. So it's not quick, it's not easy. So retaining an existing member is obviously very, very cost effective. I think I've read a stat somewhere that says retaining even an increase of 5% increase in your customer retention can revenue boost by 25 to 50% of your overall revenue. So in fact, it's more than profitable. It's the right thing to do by your members. And it also rewarding loyalty is an important factor. There's a story that I have from a few years ago with regards to home equity. We had tried to make our applications for home equity digital and allow them to immediately, you fund and you move funds into your checking account so that the access is easy. But what we realized as we were implementing was the one of the accesses that we used to give people was cards and checking accounts, and we realized our NPSs were taking a large dip. And when we dove down to find out, the lending manager came to me and said, "Hey, we have an issue that one of the things that we're realizing is that at point of sale, we give a pricing benefit that if they withdraw immediately, at point of sale, that they would actually get immediate benefits. And you get a better pricing. But a lot of people would just take the account for a rainy day and then, forget about it. But then what we realized was as mortgage rates started going up and people started leveraging their home equity, it was no longer a rainy day. They needed the funds immediately. But the check provider would take 7 to 14 days to get those funds to you. So it was just a communication challenge where we could tell our members, hey, instead of waiting for 7 to 14 days because the US mail is running slower and not delivering as fast as you'd like, why don't you take the funds immediately? And here's a benefit for you. And we literally pivoted. Instead of making any other changes, we made a communication change. And that created such a surge of improvement in the scores, in members' ability to get the funds, and being able to access it immediately. It's really sometimes you have all the tools. You just need to tell them. So we didn't need to do a big change, but that retention and the profitability, because immediately access to the line was used, members were able to access their funds, made a big difference in that partnership and relationship. So
that's awesome.
Lesson we learned.
And hopefully for the community, that also gives them a sense of, this level of attention to detail on the journeys is so critical. And once you crack it, those become truly your IP as the institution's IP that you can leverage a lot. So, and I know you and I have spoken in other scenarios about using the right type of data at the right places where there is market data to be had. If you leverage that smartly, you can truly understand how can you grow your loan book without burning a hole on credit losses. But that will be a conversation another day. Thank you, Reva.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in, and best of luck with your new role at Blend.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.